You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds at rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever, the secret is whenever, the secret is together we are.
Good morning, Centers for Spiritual Living, St. George, Utah. Welcome. We're glad you're joining with us today. We are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. Today's service team, oh my goodness, we have our beautiful tech, Marina Anderson. I am Star, and I'm a religious science practitioner. We have Shay Barlow, who's doing our beautiful music and who also did our introduction video. We have an invocation by Bill Smith, who's another religious science practitioner. And we have reading today Tony Kovach, who is the beloved wife of our senior minister, Reverend Joe Kovach. Welcome, everyone. Okay, Shay, take it away.
Good morning, Star.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
CSL St. George. We're just going to go ahead and do our centering song. And so I'm going to go through it once, and then our practitioner, Bill Smith, will pop in and he will do our invocation. And then we're going to run through it again, and the lyrics will be on screen if you'd like to sing along. So just take a breath and just be here right now. Take heed, my soul, you are wiser than you know. Ascend to worship plain and true. The source of my delight may be hidden from sight. Moments of faith come through. Aim high, be brave, let the soul have its way. Reveal, refine, live with the unity divine. Take heed, my soul, the common heart is whole. The answer in words unknown. The truth will be perceived by the soul that can believe. And call the light its own. Aim high, be brave, let the soul have its way. Reveal, refine, live with the unity divine.
Please join me in prayer as I recognize the presence of the one true spirit, the one true force, power, holy power in this universe. And I know that as we continue our exploration of the darkness and the shadow side and the light, I'm reminded that it is all God. The differentiation between the dark and the light is merely just a sliding scale, and that it is all God. So I know that today's blessing, or today's service, is a blessing. I know that as we dive deeper into the topics that Reverend Joe speaks of, and that Shay sings about, that we each have the opportunity for a deeper understanding and a deeper sense of knowledge of how this light and this dark, how they play on each other, and how each one of them is a benefit and a blessing to us. So I just let it be, knowing that today's service is perfect and that all is good. So I release my word and let it be so.
So it is. Thank you so much, Bill. Take heed, my soul, you are wiser than you know. Attend to worship plain and true. The source of my delight may be hidden from sight. Moments of faith come through. Aim high, be brave. Let the soul have its way. Reveal, refine. Live with the unity divine. Take heed, my soul, the common heart is whole. The answer in words unknown. The truth will be perceived by the soul that can believe. Call the light its own. Aim high, be brave. Let the soul have its way. Reveal, refine. Live with the unity divine. And now it is my pleasure to welcome Tony Kovach to the service. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. And today's reading is from The Science of Mind. It's on page 411, and it says this: "The light is greater than the darkness, nor has the darkness any power over the light. The darkness is the great denial of the light, but it really did not deny the light, for where the light was, the darkness was not. By merely bringing in the light, the darkness vanished into the native nothingness. This is the power of reality over seeming opposition and apparent separation. The relationship between the individual and the universal mind is one of reflection. That is, what we imagine for ourselves, it imagines for us. Then it follows that the very law which creates bondage that can easily create freedom. The divine intends freedom for us, but the very fact that we have creative thought and that we are real individuals presupposes the use of our creativeness in more than one way. We can sit in the shade or move into the sunshine. Sitting in the shadows, we may not really believe that there is any sunshine, but the sun would be there all the time, and all the time we are in bondage, the real freedom exists. It is there that we must awake to it. The law of mind as quickly creates one form as another for us, and we must allow that pattern of our thought to become molded from the highest sense of reality we possess. By giving our complete attention to any one idea, we automatically embody it. We attract to ourselves the objective likeness of this embodiment. The thought becomes the thing. And so I just really like this. What stood out for me the most was just that simple thought is I can choose. I think it said we can sit in the shade or we can move into the sunshine. And I love this because I think for myself, I love the sunshine. I love the heat. And, sometimes I sit in the shade and I get that chill, I get that coolness, and I feel uncomfortable. I just want to step into that sunshine and feel that warmth. And it's just a decision. What do I feel at the moment? And where do I want to go? Where do I want to align with? So just by getting up and stepping into that sunshine, I can feel that warmth. Now, being here in Vegas, that sunshine can get pretty hot. So I can also choose to take a step back and sit in the coolness of the shade. It's just aligning with that feeling and that thought and my intention of where I want to go. So that's what stood out for me today. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tony. That's wonderful. So as you've heard, we are looking this month at the light within the shadows through our journey of living out loud this year. Today's focus is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That's the talk title. J.L.W. Brex wrote of that magical radiance in the night sky. He said, your path is illuminated by the light, yet darkness lets the stars shine bright. So in terms of managing what might feel dark, Eckhart Tolle offered this, writing, unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past, not enough presence. So living in the moment, being here now, can keep us centered. No matter how we define our experiences, light or dark, good or bad, those are just labels. But they're all pieces to the puzzle that make up our whole life, right? Like a quilt, the fabric. And this is a song by Phineas O'Connell. It just reminds us to be present. How do you know if you've done everything right? Is it the love you have at hand, or the cash you kiss at night? How do you know if it was worth it in the end? Did every second really count? Or were there some you shouldn't spend on anything but anyone you love? Was this the life you were dreaming of? A movie night, a yellow light, you're slowing down, the days are adding up. Don't waste the time you have waiting for time to pass. It's only a lifetime, that's only a while. It's not worth the anger you felt as a child. Don't waste the time you have waiting for time to pass. It's only a lifetime, that's not long enough. You're not gonna like it without any love, so don't waste it. I'm unimpressed by the people preaching pain for the sake of some small gain, in the sake of someone's name. I'm unprepared for my loved ones to be gone. Call them way too often now. Worry way too much about mom. Don't waste the time you have waiting for time to pass. It's only a lifetime, that's only a while. It's not worth the anger you felt as a child. Don't waste the time you have waiting for time to pass. It's only a lifetime, that's not long enough. You're not gonna like it without any love, so don't waste it. It's family and friends, and that's the truth. The fountain doesn't give you back your youth. You're staying up too late at night and laughing under kitchen lights so hard you start to cry. Don't waste the time you have, waiting for time to pass. It's only a lifetime, it's not long enough. You're not gonna like it without any love, so don't waste it. Okay, Star, back to you.
Wow. Thank you, Shay. I love that. Staying in the present moment is so important. It's
Absolutely.
where the love is. All right, everybody. I'd like to introduce to you what we've been going through this month. The month of May is the light within the shadows. And today's talk is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, a little thing that I used to love as a child. And so now I welcome Reverend Joe.
Good morning.
To share us about twinkling.
Twinkle, twinkle, purple star.
There you go.
Thank you, Star. Appreciate it. Oh, good morning, community. It's funny, I was saying pre-warm-up here that I feel like I've been gone for a while, although we talked last week, but because we were in person, it was like a vacation. It was wonderful. And I want to thank everyone who took the time to come out on Mother's Day. We had a fantastic time. A lot of people. It was a packed house. It was wonderful. Some small kinks, we'll work those out, but that's what makes it part of the journey, right? If you haven't, if you weren't able to participate, please watch online. And you know, it really does matter while I'm thinking about it to promote. If you love what we do, liking on Facebook and thumbs up on YouTube and all that, that does help. But I was like a dream come true to be able to see you all in person. It was wonderful. So here we are back in Vegas, and we're going to do this. We're going to continue to talk about this subject, which, as I stressed last week, don't take this too hard, too seriously. We're talking about the light and the shadows and what that means for us, and how can we use this and think about this in a way that supports us living our best life. So Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Oh, and I want to say what a wonderful lineup so far today. Bill's prayer was beautiful. And Shay's song. Shay, you're so creative. Again, I sit there and I listen to you and I don't even want to talk. I just want to listen to more. So thank you for that. And thank you to my wife for doing our reading. That was an excellent job. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So actually Shay shared a quote which kind of has a lot to do with what we're talking about, which is the idea that stars, they do shine in the daytime, right? But we can't quite see their twinkle without the darkness backlighting them. And so we're going to talk about, again, a different way of looking at this idea of light and dark. And some of it's going to overlap, which is good. We want to remember that the light and the dark, they're not two separate things, and they work together in a complementary fashion. They help each other. It's kind of like at the same time, you know, we wouldn't, when they work together, we're able to see and experience the beauty in our world. I think about when I look at water, and you know, when the light's shining on the water, any light, moonlight, sunlight, and it sparkles, right? But it only sparkles if there's that contrast. And that's an important word, contrast. And it works. There would be nothing there, right? Two seemingly opposite things support wholeness, right? And you know, I love starting talks with this idea of talking about wholeness, always starting from a grounded approach to our day, to an activity, to even through my day of working. I work in a school. There's times when I have to get up and go somewhere else. And while I'm walking there, I'm resetting, I'm grounding. Okay, this is behind, focus on what is, and be open to what comes, knowing who and what I am. And so when we come from a perspective of wholeness, then we can recognize the two halves of the whole. It may look like fear, it may look like faith, but depends on our position. It may look like a masculine, a feminine, but it's all part of the whole. And so is the dark and the light. You can say anger and peace, joy and pain. It's part of a whole. And it's just a journey. It's what experience do we want to have? We're choosing this. We are choosing this. It's not happening to us, because if that happened to us, then we're victims. But it's happening through us, and we know through our philosophy that we have quite a amount of power in how that shows up for us. So two sides of a whole. And we don't want to think it as a binary situation. We tend to think of it this or that. Again, it's this and that equal all of it. And so sometimes it's a little bit more of a teeter-totter. And as my wife used the expression, the idea of sometimes we want to be fully in the light. And sometimes, you know what, part of the journey is being in the shade a little bit, seeing a different aspect, feeling and experiencing a different aspect of life. And that's okay. You do it your way. That's the beauty of life. If, you know, what kind of life would it be if we all just truly focused on how we want to do things? And if we're coming from a grounded place, we're never going to do something that purposely hurts someone. No one would ever do that. And when you're aligned with, you know, spirit and source and God, again, you pick your name. I'm going to call it life. Life always operates in balance. It never goes against itself. So if we just did us, we just worked on us and allowed other people to work on them with this thought that no matter what half we see, they're whole. What a world it would truly be. We can tackle any challenge or topic, circumstance by grounding in the truth that everything and every non-thing, it comes from the same source. And when we come from this idea of openness and accountability, responsibility, and a willingness to learn, then we recognize we can change the way we do things. And one of the greatest quotes that changed my life, believe it or not, was watching Wayne Dyer, his Power of Intention on PBS. Funny story, I'll save it for another talk. But he kept stressing, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. Right? That's a powerful statement. And I believe he was actually quoting, I think it was Carlos Castaneda, I believe, created a whole program around that idea. And so as we ground, let's ground with some Ernest Holmes, our founder of religious science. He says, therefore, it logically follows that this system of treatment is for the purpose of uncovering and neutralizing the wrong states of thought. Now, a couple things. This is back in the early 1900s. So treatment, he's talking about the idea of treatment as prayer. We think of treatment as we're treating this, we're looking at our thoughts and we're changing the thoughts. And don't get caught up in the idea of wrong states. He just uses them in the opposite form of what we wanted to experience. So I wanted to state that from the beginning. Now, the wrong states of thought, of building in mind a concept of our spiritual birthright. Thought, which is built upon a realization of the divine presence, has the power to neutralize negative thought, to erase it, just as light has the power to overcome darkness. Not by combating darkness, but by being exactly what it is, light. And then he quotes the Bible, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. And I put a period. So that was sorry about that. So what is he saying here? In other words, what's the best way when we're in a situation maybe of darkness, we feel stuck, anger, whatnot? Don't fight it. Right? Because what do we know about the law of attraction? The more we focus on something, the more we get that. There is no saying no to. So instead of just trying to stay stuck, know who we are. We are co-creators of our own reality. That's why there's no two people in this whole world that we live in see things exactly the same way, even on the same topic. So he's saying, be you. And who are you? You are an expression of the divine. You are you have the infinite power of the divine. We don't realize it, and we have to practice that. I believe that's part of why we're here. We're here to enjoy this co-creative experience. So it's not happening to us, it's happening through us. And how we decide that process is up to us. And I like to play. Thus, the twinkle, twinkle, little star. I love things that are simple and profound. So taking the idea of a nursery rhyme or a story, but we need to play more, folks. I need to play more. I know that. And I work on that. And it sounds like that's counterproductive almost. I have to work at playing. We get so busy in so many things. And it was, I believe, Emerson. I want to say it was Emerson who said, simplify, simplify, simplify. He was saying, simplify your life. Do the things you love to do and leave out the rest. And part of this is we can use this idea of looking at the shadow. Again, last week I brought up this idea. It's not part of ourselves. So let me say it that way. It is part of who we are. We don't want to cast it out, because if Source and God is everything, then there's nothing truly outside of that, of it, of life. Right? So we don't want to just cut it, because we may not recognize the blessing that it is. And what did we talk about earlier? Without the dark, when we're looking at it physically from light, we wouldn't have contrast. We wouldn't have depth. We wouldn't have brilliance. And so we can look at this idea of this balance between the two literally as play, right? If we're walking throughout the day, there's certain points when we may discover there's our shadow, and it shows up as a disfigured, in a sense, outline of our body. I don't know if disfigured, but disproportionate, I guess, shadow of our body. But it's part of us. It goes wherever we go. And so how we look at it, it's shadow as in our actual shadow, but the shadow when those are those places that we may not want to go within, or even not within us. What about if we look at humanity? And we go, oh, well, this person did this, and how could you, blah, blah, blah. But if we're all part of the whole, then I am that. There's a part of in me, and that's probably why I want to push it away, because I don't want to admit that there's a part of me that could possibly do that thing, that horrible thing, or be that horrible person. But if we were in that horrible person's shoes, what would we discover? And can we, when we're seeing these things, turn it from a place of treatment, as the quote shared from Ernest Holmes, this idea of treat, and to see the blessing in this. You know, it's kind of like being a parent when our child says something like, I hate you, and hurts you, and then it hurts. We can look at that, and then we realize maybe we're taking things too seriously, or I often just flip from my point of view, and then I pray for the wholeness and see that. And then that healing, in a sense, leads to a deeper sense of love. I believe there's a quote from last week that talked about the idea of the pain that carves within us. Really, in a sense, if we look at it as a blessing, is creating a deeper groove for love to fill. So while we're doing this, I take it easy, and we can even come from this intention of playing. So another, Rochelle Goodrich, she says from her book, Smile Anyway, it takes just one star to pierce a universe of darkness. Never give up. And I wanted to put this in there with this idea of playing, because we may think, oh, we're such a hot mess. But at the same time, that's because we're focused on our lack, we're focused on our limitation, we're focused on what we're not. But somebody else is looking at us through their eyes of wholeness, or their eyes of maybe even need. They're more stuck than we are, and they look up to us, right? So who knows where? I believe that each one of us is that star that pierces somebody's darkness, and that there's always light. There's always a light lighting this journey of life for us. And our shadow is a part of that. It's alive. Our shadow is still a piece of who we are. It is part of our wholeness, and it assists us in recognizing our wholeness through the contrast. Right? Anne Lamott, in her book, Traveling Mercies, says this quote. She says, the thing about light is that it really isn't yours. It's what you gather and shine back. And it gets more power from reflectiveness. If you become still and take it in, it fills your cup. And then you can give it off yourself. give it up. I think it's supposed to be give it of yourself. So what is she saying? She's like, we're receiving it, but it's ours and it's not ours. It's part of the whole. So it's as we give, we can, or as we receive, we can give. And so if I want to hold this, I say it's mine, I hold it and I make it mine, and then nobody can have it. And that comes from a place of lack, right? But if we recognize this light within, this perfection, this awesomeness in this moment and receive it, it fills my cup. And then I can give from the overflowing of that. I don't believe that which is God would ever ask us to give from a place where we already don't have enough. I don't believe in that. We give from the overflow of life, right? Thus, the idea of tithing anything is the fact that we put 10% away for later to reap a bountiful harvest at a time, because we know life comes in waves. We have, and then there's times when we just don't have. That's part of life. There's sun and then there's clouds. It's everything. And so this giving and receiving, this circulation is important. And it can be part of our play. And sometimes, if we're feeling a downtime, as my wife said, we're in the shadow, we have that choice. What does the shadow offer us? What does this moment offer us? Shadow offers us the idea. She gave the example. On a hot day, it's cool. On a hot day, it's sometimes too bright. So it allows me to see things and experience things even better. Maybe I'm not ready for that bright light. And I'm talking physically, but yes, metaphorically, right? If I'm in this shadow, maybe I'm just in a place. It doesn't have to be dark or negative. It's just in a place. And if I recognize that it ebbs and flows, then I can, when we're ready, then we can make another choice. Maybe we just step in a little outside where we were. We were deep in the shadow. Now we're stepping in a little more towards the light, and it works. And we just do this at our own comfort, right? Charles Fillmore, who is a great in the New Thought philosophy, shares this. He says, the diamond owes its brilliance to the perfect arrangement of the innumerable little prisms within it, each of which refracts the light of the other. Our body is made up of centers of consciousness, points of light, and are arranged so that they radiate the light within you. You will shine like the diamond. And so when we look at things and we feel broken, we think of that as negative. But at the same time, are we broken in a perfect way? Like, can we look at that and go, oh, wait, this, I'm not really broken, but I'm arranged in this unique, one of a kind, soulful spiritual experience that gives me every choice I make, every thought I hold is refracting this consciousness that God is. And science is showing that everything is a point of consciousness. And we say in the science of mind that there is no spot where God is not. That this source of all is everywhere in the spaces in between. Okay? And we experience it through our reality. So another example of the stars shining in the day, we can see them, but with the contrast of night, they shine brighter, is coming soon in the blink of an eye, 4th of July, and fireworks and light shows. And they offer to us another, if they did it during the day, would you see them? Yes. But wow, with that backdrop of a dark night, those colors just feel like they're infusing. And it's that contrast again that we can use as a metaphor in our lives, that sometimes in the deepest and darkest hours, the dark night of the soul, for example, if we are of right-mindedness, if we are grounded in our spirituality, in our knowing of truth, then the deepest dark will reveal the lightest light, and we will see the blessing in the darkness. it's not bad. We have to change that thinking that being the dark shadow is bad. It's just it's like a dimmer switch. And we can, in a sense, control that dimmer switch, right? There's one source of electricity coming through that dimmer switch on the light. And how dark do we want it? How light do we want it? And we're controlling this through our thoughts and our emotions. And our reality shows us, in a sense, where are we really at on that, using that dimmer switch. So it's not somebody else doing the dimmer switch for us. We have to take this radical responsibility and own it. And kind of like a firework, in a sense, we are that unique firework, that unique spark of God, divine. In this reality, we're unique. We come at people in our own unique way, right? And when we shine. And sometimes when we shine, people want to, in a sense, put a bushel basket over our brightness because it's too much for them. Now, what happens sometimes when we do that is we focus on them and we bring ourselves down, in a sense, energetically to their level. But we don't have to do that. We can just bless them where they're at. This is what going back earlier when I said, if we just focused on our path, allowed others on theirs. If someone's showing us their darkness, let's bless them. They don't need more darkness. If they're upset, and my family's going to laugh because I'm not good driving in traffic. But if somebody cuts you off, right, they're already in an egotistical me mode, probably me against the world mode. So me adding my negativity to that, what is that doing? And I've come a long way and I have a long way to go on that path. And that's where I'm at. I don't get upset about the fact that I want to be better. I try to do that. I acknowledge when I am that. I also acknowledge when I'm not that, which was yesterday. So another, I love Rumi. I got to share a Rumi quote. He says, "No one looks for stars when the sun's out. A person blended into God does not disappear. He or she is just completely soaked in God's qualities." I love that. So our lives are similar in the same way. If we can get past those scary monsters that we have been taught or we have chosen, in a sense, what can we do, right? Can we play with this light and dark and turn the monsters into monstars? A little play on words there. Can we embrace, basically, and appreciate both sides, the wholeness? Can we get to the point where, and I'm not asking us to do this when we're in the middle, right? If someone breaks up with me, right? If I'm going through a divorce, I don't want somebody coming going, like trying to bring this where I'm not ready. It's too far of a jump. What do I mean? Let me be more clear. As a school counselor, I have to work at times with kids who are wanting to hurt themselves. And as much as I want to say, just, I love you and it's going to be all right and everything's going to be okay and you're going to look at this from a point someday in your life where they can't hear any of that. If you think of it like energetically, low energy, you're wanting to hurt yourself, you're at the lowest. Okay. And that's not wrong, but that's where you are. And if I come from a place of love, that gap is just it's like way too bright. They're kind of deep, dark in a shadow spot. So I kind of have to figure out where they are and pull them up enough to see, like I shine bright enough for them to follow until they're able to see their own light. And what if we just did that for each of us and then others, right? That's what it is. So I help the children and the students turn their monsters into monstars. And there's a lot of pain in this world. There's no denying that. But I do believe there's always light in every situation. Another quote I wanted to share by Macrina. I only messed her last name up. Macrina, and I believe it's Wiedernecker, German. She says, "I have seen too many stars to let the darkness overwhelm me." So no matter how dark it is, no matter how bleak it seems in our lives, there is always a way. And this hope has always been a part of my life. And it's practice. On a humorous side, a friend of mine said that he identifies himself as the brightest star in the night sky. And I asked him, are you serious? Serious, S-I-R. All right, bad joke. So this next part, I want to move into the last part of my talk here. You're going to know and recognize it's all I shared from Reverend Dr. Patrick Carbula. And I'm going to promote his book, The Magic of the Soul there. And then this whole next part comes from him because he does such an amazing job of talking about it. And so he started out, I want to share, I'm not going to put it all in quotes because it's a lot. So some of it I just want to read. But he's in this on page 185 to 186. He says, when you cannot see a silver lining in the dark clouds grounding you, allow yourself to go into the darkness. Don't resist it. Look for the magic in the darkness. Affirm that a light still protects you in your dark place. Surrender to a power greater than you that can see the light. View your problems from the perspective of the source, in addition to honoring the dark place from which your healing will arise. Now, this part I do want to share in case you want to go back over it. He says this to continue. No matter how great our pain is or how dark our path becomes, from clouds blocking the sun's rays, the sun never leaves. The sun is still sending its nurturing, life-giving sustenance. As a symbol of our soul, it sees us through the clouds. It is with us every moment. And then he says, be in the dark, but know that the sun is still there. And so it's just another powerful reminder that there is a time for everything. And if the only power we ever have is in this divine moment, all power. I don't have to go somewhere else. I don't technically have to even know in the moment. How am I saying this? If I'm not sure, then what I do know is that in every point there is God consciousness fully, that I can connect to that. And even if I don't quite understand, I will be guided within my own way so that I can walk into the light. So I can get out from feeling stuck, feeling less than, feeling old, feeling a victim. Right? The sun is always there. There's another quote by Rumi. Oh, I should have found that one. It says, I'm going to paraphrase that, even after all these years, the moon never says to the sun, thank you, something like that. I don't want to ruin it, but it's a great quote. And so just a reminder, just even if we can't really feel it, just the words affirm. Whatever your word for God is, God, spirit, life, Jesus, Buddha, whatever it may be, it is here now with me fully. It is here now with me fully. I am that. I know the answer. This is what we do. We affirm what is. And we go, oh, well, I can't see it. Well, if I say I can't see it, in essence, then I'm affirming it's not here. But if I said, in a sense, I know it's here, and I can't see it yet, in a sense, right? I'm in a dark room. I know it's here. I have to work on turning on the light until I do see it, right? Turning on our awareness until it becomes aware. The next best step will become aware in the perfect and unique individual way for us. It's not going to be the same for everyone. So Reverend Patrick goes on to say this. He says, we don't need darkness to appreciate the light. But inherent in the darkness is the longing to reach for the light. Our pain and suffering are liberators when we accept them as part of our path, not something to avoid, part of our path. Let them lead you to greater self-awareness, deeper understanding, and a pure expression of the magic of your soul. Right? Perfect. Sums up perfectly. Don't cast out where we're at. There's a blessing. Now, if we're in pain, I'm not saying, yay, enjoy the pain. But within that pain is still hope, is still light, is still God, is still spirit. It's there. It has to be. It's just right now we're focused on and living in what we call the dark side that helps us understand things. And we can shift. I know we want to do it quickly. Sometimes it takes a little bit to pivot to the light. I wanted to share this. It's a little deeper. So if you don't get it, that's okay. I'm really a fan of Khalil Gibran. And this is part of his poem. I can't remember the right name. Epic poem, The Prophet, the book. He says, the deeper the sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that fills your spirit the very lute that was hollowed with knives? A lute is kind of like a guitar for people that don't know, string instrument, I should say. He says, when you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find that it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth that you are weeping for your delight. Whew. Right, so just beautiful. I don't really want to say anything. Just take that in. Right, so just for the example, in case like a cup, it had to be burned. We look at burned as the dark, but the light is it turns into a tool for our good. And we can do this with everything, with practice, with help. We don't have to do it all on our own. Going back to Macrina again, she shares another good quote I want to share with you. She says, we know there are stars so far away that their light has not yet reached the earth. Could the same be said about the bright ideas, virtues, creativity, and dreams of our lives? Perhaps some night when you get up to pray, something will turn over in someone's heart and find its voice, all because of your small prayer. Never underestimate what little acts of love can accomplish. Don't take lightly the sacred connections that are possible in daily life. Perhaps our very waiting in the darkness gives some struggling unknown pilgrim of ours hope. Hope. So I believe, even us, working at us as we raise our level, it's like that stone in the pond, the ripple affects everyone in the pond, and everyone's in the pond. So I came up with a quote I wanted to share, and I said this: let us care for ourselves until the sunlight, the magic, God's loving embrace warms us from head to toe, from spirit to soul. So let's be easy with ourselves. All right, let's twinkle, let's shine, let's do things with joy in a playful manner, and just be the light. And it's okay, be the darkness too. That's all right. We'll just skip that for now. Go right to the affirmation. What are we doing here with our affirmations? Why do we do this every week? Because affirming says yes. We affirm equals a yes. So we want to affirm the things that we may not technically see or be experiencing, but we know there's the opportunity, the possibility, the probability that we can. And so we're affirming it now. When we affirm it, it's not just words, it's the feeling. The feeling is the proof that we have belief and faith in what we're saying. So I'm going to say the words, but practice them with feeling. So it's simply this month is my star shines brightly within the light and the shadow. And we can practice this by repeating it. So in everything we do, I'm going to close with an affirming prayer. And what I know for true is that we can choose to play in both the light and the dark, because there is no separation. That is an illusion. Whatever I call it limits it anyway. What is really the light? What is really the dark? What I know is that it's all love. It's all the divine presence expressing itself uniquely for my benefit and for the benefit of everyone else. And so I call this love. Love being expressed no matter what it looks like. I declare love in my quote hard times. I declare love in the good times. I declare love when I can't even see it. I declare love for my neighbors, for this race, for my community, for me. And my cup overflows. I am blessed, and I give from this overflowing. And I know each one is blessed that hears my voice, that healings are taking place. Why? Because that is what God does. Why would this loving source of of life leave something out in anything it created? It doesn't make sense. And so I have the faith and knowing of the truth that everyone is whole, perfect, and complete right here, right now. No matter what their quote circumstances may show, I know that can change in a moment. And I allow that moment to be this moment. And so I bless the shadow. I bless the dark. And I bless the light. It is all one. It is all love. And so it is. Amen. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. I love possibilities, and they can happen in any moment.
We choose. No.
Yep.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. All right, everyone. We have a few announcements to make, I do believe. Oh, my star shines bright. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Reverend Joe. Okay, we have a community care circle. Our phone number is 435-893-6702. Please call us if you have any wishes for somebody to take care of something that you wish to be addressed. We also have prayer requests at prayer@cslstgeorge.org. And we have practitioners online that are ready to assist you in any way, shape, or form. At noon, we have a conversation on Zoom, which is always excellent. And our next in-person service is June 11th at 11 a.m. Doors will open at 10:30. Please come and join us and bring a friend. Okay, abundant prosperity. We all have abundant prosperity. Tapping into it is the law of give and take, receiving and giving. You can give with Zelle. Zelle is a bank-to-bank transfer, which I use, which is absolutely a lot easier than I expected. It's beautiful. We can also give PayPal on PayPal, and there's a link on our website, CSLSG.org. And there's on a donation page, use the QR code, which is right there. And you can give by mail. Send checks to CSL St. George, P.O. Box 3132, St. George 84771. Okay, what's coming up? Wow, we have a guest speaker, Reverend Vermont Anderson. Thank you very much for coming back and visiting us. He is an excellent speaker. Please don't miss this one. And the Sunday following that, June 4th, Evolution of Self-Care, where again, Reverend Joe Kovach will give us a beautiful, beautiful talk. So join us. Okay, we're going to bring everybody back up and do our closing affirmation for the day. All right, everybody. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Wow.
I heard a wow. That was received.
Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks.
All
Thanks
right.
for everybody who showed up last week. It was magical.
See you on Zoom.
Bye, guys.
All right.